Coming up on this edition of Flash Talk, brought to you by Brian Hing and Cooling, we recap the Sun Belt Challenge with head women's ball coach Todd Starkey and look ahead to their trip to Central Michigan. We hit the links with Casey VanDamme, talk a little women's golf. It's baseball season, believe it or not. We talk some hardball with Jeff Duncan, and we recap our SBC Challenge with Rob Senderoff and look forward to our home game against Northern Illinois. And that's all coming up in a flash. Welcome back into Flash Talk. As always, we're brought to you by Brian Heating and Cooling. Dan Griffin talking a little hoops with head ball coach Todd Starkey. And, Coach, not the outcome we wanted on Saturday, but, man, that was a fun game, a good atmosphere, and really just a doggone good basketball game between you and Old Dominion.
Yeah, storied program in women's basketball history, and we knew it was going to be a tough game and would have liked to obviously finish the fourth quarter better, but the adjustment that our team had to make in short order without Corinne Hauser at point guard position, I think was that I thought Deanna Gray and Elena Meyer did a really good job on short prep and in playing those major minutes, and was really proud of the way they played, and saw some things from our team that we can certainly build on coming down the home stretch.
Deanna, we knew that she played with energy, but my goodness, I know that she's probably a little juiced with it being her first career start, but she came out just as a ball of energy and made a lot of things happen.
Yeah, and not surprising to myself or our staff or her teammates. I mean, we see a lot of that from her all the time. And she's been playing well here recently since Christmas. I think her minutes have consistently increased. I think the way she's played in those minutes has been very good. And so had a lot of confidence in her being able to step into that role. But it is an adjustment for the whole team with a player like Corinne Hauser being out injured.
Jenna has this knack where you look and she's got 4 points, has only taken a couple shots, really lets the game kind of come to her, and then bam, you look back up and she's got 18 and you don't really know what happened.
Yeah, she's definitely a quiet scorer in a lot of ways. You know, her game against Western Michigan, she had 25, and I didn't realize that she had scored that much until maybe the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game, and I looked up at the scoreboard. But then you talk about Katie Shoemate and the effort that she had against Old Dominion. You know, it was kind of a one-woman wrecking crew there for a while with 26 points and 12 rebounds. And, you know, we could have used a little more help from some other players, and they know that, and we'll use that moving forward. But just really proud of the way that Katie and Jenna are both playing at this point.
You got one player back in Michaela Morris, and a savvy veteran where she let the Old Dominion big and physical down low. She let the kind of the double teams come to her. She had like 6-7 assists out of the forward position, which is unheard of, but just again, to me, that's crafty play from her.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people don't realize is we haven't played with a full roster, a healthy roster since the Eastern Michigan game, with Abby Ogle going out and then Michaela being out for extended period of time. And as soon as we get those two back and healthy, then Corinne goes down. But that's part of a season, right? Adjusting to those things that happen. And our team's been very resilient, and once again, perspective's a powerful thing because you after a tough loss like that, but then you look up in the conference standings, and we're one game out of first place right now, and so we have to keep that in mind. And we've got this 7-game stretch run at the end of conference play that we really need to kind of press the reset and just really attack one game at a time coming down the stretch.
Does the Wednesday off change everything for you guys as you get ready to make the trip up to Mount Pleasant?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly kind of reconfigures what we'll do. We're not 2 days prep and playing a Wednesday game, so it's more we get an opportunity here in the next 2 or 3 days for the next few days to kind of recharge ourselves and maybe to redo a few things, maybe to play a little differently, think about how we can be more efficient as a team. And it's a new luxury to have, but it's a nice one as well. And we want to use it wisely and make sure that we're going into the Central Michigan game up there at our very best.
The Chippewas, we didn't get to see them when they came in, unfortunately, but now it looks like they're getting healthier at the right time, and they're coming off a couple of wins.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a team that's continued to improve throughout the year with a new head coach and just trying to get her culture set, and they've battled through injuries and that type of thing. But a dangerous team. Got some size in the middle of the floor, and Rochelle Norris, who's 6'5", and then got some complementary guards and some players that can really cause you some issues. So they're starting to get better at the right time as well. And with every game coming up, we're going to have to be at our best and really be focused on playing the best version of ourselves that we can.
When you're in this race to the finish, you can't look too much into either through the windshield or the rearview mirror. Just focusing on that one game at hand. Everything's that much more important.
Yeah, don't outdrive your headlights, right? So make sure you're staying focused on the road right in front of you and going to the pace you need to, continuing to improve, and be playing at your best when the conference tournament comes around.
Well, it all gets restarted on Saturday. Best of luck against the Chippewas, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Go Flashes.
And welcome back into our Flash Talk studios. As always, we're brought to you by Brian Heating and Cooling. Dan Griffin going to hit the links with Casey VanDamme, our women's golf coach. And Coach, thanks for making the maiden voyage here to kick off the spring season.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
You guys were down in the Sunshine State at the UCF Challenge, and really came on strong as that opening tournament kind of kicked off. And that's to be expected when we're a northern team, but you have to be impressed that the team got better as the week went on.
Yeah, well, we want to play good every round, obviously, sure. But coming from the north in the snow and we haven't been able to play, the first couple rounds we struggled a little bit, and the last round we definitely got a lot better.
Well, you were highlighted by a couple of premier individual performances. Veronica, first year, Kendra Nova. I'm gonna get close here.
Veronica Kedranova.
There we go.
Yeah, that was good.
She went real low. She shot a 67 in the final round. Ended up with a top 10 finish. And you guys were paced by a number of low scores throughout the week. It's just, again, like you said, building that consistency.
Yeah, Veronica is a freshman. She's a great player, and she's keeps getting better. And so we expect that as the spring moves forward, that hopefully we'll keep seeing those scores in the 60s. And Hester Sicking, senior for us, had her best tournament for us and played really well. Had a couple not so great holes, but besides that, played a really solid tournament.
At least here, the weather is turning favorably for you, especially in mid-February, where you guys can actually get out up here. And while we have a great golf facility, it doesn't replicate actually playing a full 9 or full 18.
Yeah, we have a top-notch, one of the best in the country facilities, but playing golf is different and being out on the ground. And so we're playing golf here in Northern Ohio right now, and that's a great thing. And we'll be out playing this weekend.
Well, you guys, again, we said you're going to go out to down to Florida to compete in the Michigan State tournament. But for those that are looking for a chance to see you guys in person, you're going to be in the Buckeye State for the back half of the year, including the MAC tournament. So that's got to be exciting for you guys to play at least locally in front of fans, alums, and everybody else. Yeah,
we'll play at the Scarlet Course at Ohio State's event in April, and then the next weekend we have the MAC Championship back in Columbus.
Before you guys go to compete, just talk a little bit about how that lineup comes together and how there's good competition between your golfers as they vie for positions, and how you guys really put together a game plan going into a weekend.
Yeah, well, our sport's very different in that we qualify against each other, and we don't bring our whole team to events, and people are surprised to hear that. And so the top 5 generally go. Every once in a while we get an individual and bring 6, but we'll compete against each other, and then the top 5 will go, and then we make a game plan for the golf course, and we're constantly working on each other's games and the individual kind of game plan of how they're improving. But then we set some team goals and go see how it goes.
Talk a little bit about the friendly competition, the relationship between the golfers, because it is a rare breed of a individually dominated team sport. So talk a little bit about how they're able to push each other as they're qualifying and making each other better.
It's very difficult. For instance, you'll have freshmen qualifying against each other. One of them might birdie the last 3 holes and knock the other freshman out of the lineup, and they might be roommates. So they're going home, calling their parents, I'm going, excited, and then the next one. So it's being mindful and understanding other people's perspective, but it also it's spelled out ahead of time. We communicate well with them on the expectations of what that's like, and it's a very unique sport that way.
When you're in the middle of a round, how do you guys prevent a golfer from going on tilt one way or the other, whether they may string together 3 or 4 birdies and they're feeling fantastic and maybe get a little overzealous, or it may hopefully not spiral the other way and you kind of have to reel them into where you're trying to get them to focus on the next shot at hand and have that kind of blinders on shot by shot? That's
a very, very challenging thing to, we try to help them do what's controllable. There's in our sport, there's a lot of uncontrollables, and there's a lot of variables with weather, with conditions, and with the golf course. And so we try to help them and talk them through controlling what they can control and visualizing the shot they want to hit. And so we can't necessarily make them do anything in our sport. As anybody, all the golfers out there know, you can't make the ball do anything, but we control what we are able to control and do the best we can at that. And everybody has a little different method of how they do that. And so we know them all individually, and we try to help them along in there, and we talk about that prior to the event, and we'll walk with the different players, or we might be on certain challenging holes to help them. And if someone's going on one of those streaks, we generally will show up and at least get them talking and maybe get them to forget about it and move on to the next shot.
Coach Casey VanDamme, you guys can follow our women's golf team all season long through GolfStat and KentStateSports.com. And again, you'll have the chance right here in the Buckeye State to catch them later in the year. Coach, keep hitting them straight, keep those scores low, and look forward to following your success.
Thanks so much, Dan.
Welcome back into the GFTV studios. Flash Talk is brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling. The calendar says February, so that means we got to talk some baseball, believe it or not. Jeff Duncan in the studio with us. And, Coach, happy game week.
Oh, it's a great time of year for Kent State baseball, for all of college baseball. And we've had some really good weather here lately, but it's good to be back on Flash Talk with you, Dan, and we're really looking forward to the season.
You guys start on the road per usual. You're down in UNC Wilmington here this upcoming weekend, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But you mentioned the fact that you've been able to get out on the Schoonover turf a little bit. The weather gods have been in your favor here this February, which is not often.
It's been awesome. The last 2 weeks we've been outside. It's been really good for our guys. And the biggest adjustment is really the depth perception of a baseball being outside. Generally, we don't have that opportunity, being in the field house. So our outfielders have been getting a lot of fly balls, things like that. We've been scrimmaging out on the field. So we feel like we're a little bit ahead of usual, the usual time in February. So we're excited about heading to Wilmington. Obviously a really good ball club. They're picked to go to a regional. They went to a regional last year. Actually, our first three opponents are projected to go to regionals. So it'll be a really good challenge for us these first 3 weeks.
Yeah, you guys go UNC Wilmington, then La Tech, Troy, and Jacksonville State as you guys do that usual. We'll see in a couple of weeks kind of trip. But let's talk a little bit about the club this year. Obviously, last year a phenomenal season and a lot to stay hungry and build off of. A lot of building blocks back from last year's excellent team.
Yeah, 100%. We've lost a couple All-Americans in the draft and things like that, which is a great thing for our program. But we return a huge nucleus of our offense and our pitching staff, and a ton of depth in our pitching staff, which is a good thing. We're really excited about our pitching, so that's a good thing. And then you go ahead and bring back a guy like Josh Johnson, Michael McNamara, Kyle Jackson, Jake Casey into the lineup, Colton Schaller, guys that have really produced for us, Brody Williams. So kind of an aged veteran offensive team with a blend of, I think we're going to be very, very athletic, and we're going to be able to run the bases. We're just very dynamic offensively. And then you have a real balanced pitching staff that we're really excited about, with a lot of depth and some guys returning. And one guy I want to bring up is Jordan Kalenda, who will be in the back end of our bullpen and hopefully be able to replace a guy like Mitch Scott, who was an All-American last year that closed down so many games, for us last year. And, being able to win 42 games, you got to be able to, 42 and 14 last year, you got to be able to close down games, and we're excited about Jordan Kalenda to be able to do that.
And it was almost kind of a blessing in disguise last year, where game 2 of the season against Jacksonville, you go 16 innings.
Oh, yeah.
And you had to use guys like Jordan Kalenda and Mitch Scott in some weird opportunities, because it's the 13th inning, and we need some outs. And Kalenda came on in that series and kind of turned some heads and really kind of just built everything from there. But it was basically, well, kid, here's the ball. Go get it done for us.
That was game 2 of the season, and we saw a lot of arms. Caden Leonard came out of that as well, and we learned a lot about our pitching staff in that game. Really the first 3 weeks before we start back, we learn a lot about our team. And sometimes we don't necessarily start off great, because we're a northern climate heading to the south. But the big thing for us, the big goal, especially in this first weekend as a coaching staff and as a team, is we're going to learn a lot, and figure out. And for us as a coaching staff is put these guys in the right positions to win. Then we get into rhythm and we start winning. That's what I'm really excited about.
Well, like we said, the season starts this weekend against UNC Wilmington, believe it or not, March 5th, and then an opening series with Central Michigan as Schoonover's going to be rocking here in less than a month. It looks like a lot of fun.
Schoonover is a special place. It's I think we went 24-1 last year at Schoonover, and we're looking forward to having everybody back out at the Schoon. And it's a great place to play. It's got a great environment, and let's fill the stands again.
It all gets started here this weekend. Coach Duncan, let's bring home some W's.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, Dan.
Let's take a look at what's going on around Kent State athletics. As always, we're brought to you by KSUTix.com. On Saturday, our men's basketball team welcomes in NIU for a 2 p.m. tip. It's Youth Basketball Day and Youth Cheer and Dance Day. There'll be a slap bracelet and arm sleeve giveaway, plus it's Future Flashes Kids Club Night. Our women's lacrosse team opens their home schedule as they welcome in the Patriots on a George Mason at 1 p.m. It's our annual poster giveaway, and dress warm because there's a hot cocoa bar. And we wish best of luck to Jeff Duncan and the Kent State baseball team. They start their season at UNC Wilmington all weekend long. Keep up to date with your favorite Kent State sports at kentstatesports.com and find us at Kent State Athletics on your favorite social media platforms. Welcome back into our Flash Talk studios. Dan Griffin with Flash Talk, brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling. Talking some hardball with Coach Rob Senderoff. And Coach, the back end of the Sun Belt Challenge, not one for our side, but a lot of lessons learned. Just what was your overall kind of 20,000-foot overview of the Troy Trojans in that game on Saturday?
Yeah, Troy's got a good team, and they played well. I wasn't super happy with how we played, but Troy's got really big athletic guards, physical team, and we struggled keeping them out of the paint, and we turned the ball over too much. But our whole league had a rough go of that round of playing the Sun Belt games during league season on the road. I know next year the games are flipped in terms of when we play at home and road. We'll see if that has an impact in terms of our conference overall next year. But just from a Kent State standpoint, a lot of things that you look at from the game and say, okay, we have to clean this up moving over the next 3 weeks of league play to position ourselves for March.
Well, you guys get kind of a, for lack of a better word, kind of mini bye this week. Does it come at a good time before you basically hit the reset button on seeing some teams for the second time?
Yeah, we have 7 games left in league. Everybody, like you said, will be somebody we play for the second time here moving forward. I think having this week is great for. I think it's great for everyone on our team, our staff. We have a number of players that are banged up. Give them a couple extra days to try to get healthy. Give us as a staff a couple extra days to try to work on the things we need to focus on. You can't focus on everything, but what we need to do to, like I said, position ourselves to be playing in March and playing better in March. We've got some things we've got to shore up, and we have this week to really focus on that.
Does it come at the right time? Does it alter your typical game week preparation?
Yeah.
Do the guys get an extra day or two off, given that there's no Tuesday night game?
Yeah, absolutely. And we traveled back Sunday, and normally if we travel Sunday, we're going to practice Sunday night, practice Monday, and play Tuesday. We were off Sunday, travel day. We're off today on Monday, and then we'll get into the week here Tuesday with film and skill and instruction. Wednesday, skill and practice. Thursday, Friday. So we have an extra day of prep for the game that we play on Saturday, and we get these guys a little bit more rest because just looked at it the other day. Just using Jalen Sullinger as an example. At this point last year, he had played 250 minutes less than he's played at this point this year, which is equivalent to 5 total games. So we do need to get these guys healthy. We need to get them treatment. Working with our trainer and our strength coach this week, and we have some things we have to work on the basketball court that we have to shore up if we want to improve here down the stretch.
Up first, the Northern Illinois Huskies. You guys went into DeKalb, always a tough place to play, and grinded out a victory earlier this season. Just talk a little bit about what the Huskies bring to the table and what we can expect on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, that was a good win for us, and at the time, a really much-needed win, and we found a way to win late. We found a way to make some stops late. They have one of the best scoring guards in the conference and in the country, and David Coit. We did a pretty good job against him overall, and we pulled out what was a big road win for us at the time. So they're playing better. They have won 2 straight conference games just like we have. They play again this week prior to playing us. So I'm sure they're going to be feeling more confident than they were at the time we played them, and we should be more confident than at the time that we played them as well. So, a big, important game for league standings and for our ability to get up to Cleveland. And I know we're going to be focused on all the things we need to do to win that game.
2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, youth basketball day inside the MAC Center. It'll be Coach Senderoff and the Flashes taking on the NIU Huskies on ESPN Plus and the Kent State Radio Network. Coach, let's start the home stretch on a good note.
Sounds good. Thanks.
That's going to do it for this edition of Flash Talk, brought to you by Brian Hing and Cooling. Join us next time as we take another deep dive into the world of Kent State athletics. For all of us here inside the GFTV studios, this is Dan Griffin saying good night and go Flashes.